We're heading to the DMZ, the demilitarized zone. I've got my passport, the largest North Korean banknote, the hope in the future they weren't able to see their family. This train used to go all the way to Pyongyang, the only place where South Korea and North Korea could see it each other. It really feels like Purim here. Good morning, it's 5:30 in the morning and we are heading out on a really exciting tour. We're heading out of Seoul and we're heading to the DMZ, the demilitarized zone between South Korea and North Korea. Lippy is our navigation, guiding us to the place where we'll be picked up to go on the tour. Throughout this trip we're going to many different countries and this is going to be the coldest one. It's -5 degrees at the moment. The tour is going to pick us up from here. I'm very excited, but at the same time a bit nervous to be so close to North Korea. Good morning. Just exchanged a bigger bus and we're heading up north. Just got our official pass to get to the DMZ.
If you open your eyes wide, you can see my name on the top, J-U-N-G. Okay? When the prisoners arrived in South Korea, they shouted freedom. That's why called Freedom Bridge. 33 times to celebrate the New Year's.
Just arrived at the first stop. I've got my passport in order to buy tickets to get into the actual DMZ. You'll have to wait an hour and a half, we'll sit down, have a bit of breakfast, and then we're off to the exciting part. Wow, this food does smell very good.
33 times are related to the Buddhism, okay?
Behind me is a huge bell, and on the New Year for South Korea, they ring it 33 times. A bit like the shofar, just missing 67 kolos.
Mention that your mom and dad, your brothers, sisters just live behind the mountain, but never allowed to meet them again, never allowed to visit your hometown. It's crazy, right? They shouted freedom. That's why called Freedom Bridge. Okay? Factory is shut down already.
Behind me there's pictures showing people who after the Korean War, where North Koreans ended up in South Korea and South Koreans ended up in North Korea, and they weren't allowed to cross over so they could have their hometown, their family, which they'll never be able to see again. And they'll just sit here and they'll be really deeply upset. These children behind me on the bench represents children who are stuck in South Korea when the rest of their family was in North Korea, and since they split into two countries they weren't able to see their family and they weren't able to go back to their hometown. On the border of South Korea and North Korea I am over 8,000 kilometers from my hometown. In this shop over here is the only place in South Korea where you could exchange to North Korean money. So let's buy some. I just bought the largest North Korean banknote, 5,000 North Korean won, and it's equivalent to £5 in the UK, around $6. And the picture on it is the first leader of North Korea. This bridge behind me leads to North Korea, and unfortunately we can't go on it. These colourful ribbons behind me are people who write positive things to encourage unification between South Korea and North Korea in hope that will happen one day. This train used to go all the way to Pyongyang in North Korea.
Unification comes from. And on March 24th,
So the DMZ is 2.5 kilometers stretched between South Korea and North Korea. Half the DMZ is South Korea and half is North Korea, and it was made by the UN to separate the two countries. Whenever the two countries need to have negotiations, since they can't get into each other's countries, they meet halfway and that's where they discuss things. I just went down a 350-meter tunnel. Unfortunately I wasn't allowed to bring a camera down there, but it was built by the North Koreans after the war and they tried to surprise an invasion on South Korea, but it was found by South Koreans and they stopped their plans. This sculpture behind me symbolizes the hope in the future of the unification between North Korea and South Korea by pushing the two halves together. So from 1945 until 1950, there was rising tensions between North Korea and South Korea, leading to the Korean War. And at the end of the Korean War, in 1953, this is when the two countries split. That's when they had North Korea and South Korea. And ever since then, they've tried, with no success, to try and bring the two countries together. But still today, they are completely apart and completely different in every single way. The tunnel we just went into, when we got to the end of it, we were literally only a few meters away from crossing the line that we would be in North Korea. So if you wanted to enter North Korea, you couldn't do that from South Korea. What you'd have to do is go to China, and that's the only way you'd be able to actually enter.
You can see electric tower. Beside electric tower,
This is the only place where South Korea and North Korea can see at each other, and they literally argue without speaking. The South Koreans put up a flag to show how proud they are of their country, so then the North Koreans put up an even bigger flag, and then South Korea put a bigger flag, and North Korea put a bigger flag, and it ended off with the North Korean flag being 160 meters, and then South Korea gave up. Both countries try to show off to each other who has the better life, and on a building down there it says that our country is the best. Apparently when South Korea built new houses, which North Korea can see, they repainted all their houses to try and show them that they are better. This is the only DMZ in the world separating a pretty normal country, South Korea, and North Korea, which is the most isolated country in the world.
We love God. We love Jesus Christ.
The most viewed YouTube video in the world comes from here, South Korea, and it's Baby Shark, with over 12 billion hits. So this is the world record for the smallest embassy. This tiny little box here is the entire US Embassy. I was only joking, it's this huge building behind me which is the US Embassy. To enter this palace, either you buy a ticket, or if you dress up in the traditional Korean clothes, you can get in for free. So there's loads of rental companies where you could rent the traditional South Korean clothes. Really feels like Purim here. So this is where Achashverosh used to sit. South Korea is a very superstitious place. For instance, if you put your chopsticks in your rice upright, this symbolizes that someone's dead, so you never want to do that. Also, using red ink also symbolizes that someone is dead, so you should never use red ink. This is the coolest vending machine I've ever seen. It's a mystery prize box. It costs 10,000, which is approximately £7. And we just bought one for 10,000. Let's see what we've got. This cost us £7. Let's see if it was worth it. I think we've won like an iMac or something, or an iPhone 14. Oh wow, we have won a teddy bear. Wow, we have invested well. People come all over the world to get these. I don't even know what it is, but whatever it is. Oh, it's actually gloves.
Mittens, whatever.
Whoa, whoa, they might fit my younger sister, which I don't have. Over here is a whole park called Haribo World. See you, thank you, bye. This village is where the traditional Koreans live. These very, very interesting shaped houses. Thursday night, heading to Kebab for supper, and then we're heading back to the airport to go somewhere for Shabbos. Or leaving South Korea now, if I had to analyse what South Korea is like, it's a pretty functional, not too crazy, normal city, but just an Asian version of it. But what was interesting is that you'd expect a main city with so many people living here to be crowded, noisy, dirty. It's just the opposite. It's quiet, it's relaxing, it's very functional. One thing which is very interesting about this place is that they're still in the middle of their COVID pandemic. Just heard on the announcement system, not just that you need to wear a mask, but you shouldn't talk because you'll spread the virus. Even though they have strict rules to wear masks, I haven't really been wearing a mask the past 2 days. I think only once I was told to put on a mask. And I think the reason for that is because they have such a polite culture, they don't really want to say anything to you.